All right, everybody. It's Christopher Bruno again. I wanted to get another video out today about an update on what had happened over the weekend. Yesterday, to be exact, on Sunday, reports started coming in. First of the beachgoers in Sevastopol in Crimea being struck by what at the time was being reported as an ATACMS missile fired by the Ukrainians. It's a type of weapon system that has to be fired by American technicians. They can tell the Ukrainian where to push the button, but all the real work has to be done by an American or somebody from NATO. I'm assuming probably an American. So there was that, and then happening almost simultaneously in Dagestan was the the quote-unquote religious extremist attack that went on. So first you had the attack in Sevastopol, and almost simultaneously you had the attacks in Dagestan, where that priest was murdered, a 67-year-old priest, Orthodox Christians being murdered. They're saying by extremist Muslims. I don't doubt that. But when has the West ever shied away from employing Muslim, Islamic extremists to carry out its barbaric attacks? And I'm just operating from a standpoint of pragmatism. I love my country, but I am not thrilled with what my government's been doing for the last 20, 30 years, and this continues. So you have the Sevastopol situation, you have the Dagestan situation, you have the reasonable reaction, the reflex in Russia to think that the West is behind all of this, that NATO is behind all of this, that we are under direct attack. I mean, just look back to the Islamic crazies that the West has acknowledged funding when we were funding the Syrian rebels, the quote-unquote Syrian rebels, to oust Assad. Well, the FSA are Islamic extremists, and the only way that you turn a moderate rebel, the quickest way to turn a moderate rebel, right, into an Islamist is you arm them. So obviously the Russians are of the belief that the United States is behind both of these situations. I was getting a little static on the video I did yesterday about the Sevastopol situation, saying, well, where's the proof that that the West was behind this? Well, look, at the end of the day, there is no doubt at this point, and the West has acknowledged that the missile that detonated over the vacationing civilians in Sevastopol was an ATACMS missile. It was a cluster munition, which prior to about a year ago was banned until the Ukraine started running out of ammunition, and the West started running out of ammunition and had to employ banned munitions on the battlefield. And you have now a disaster. And if you're going to say, well, this is not NATO, this is the Ukrainians doing what the Ukrainians will, how is this any different than if I give a handgun to somebody and knowing that they're going to go into your home and shoot somebody and rob your home? I'm just as guilty for giving that handgun knowing that person's going to walk into that home and shoot somebody. We gave these missiles to the Ukraine. Now, people are going to say, well, they're defending themselves. There's obviously no long-range missile systems on the beaches of Sevastopol aimed at the Ukraine. Now, what this sounds like happened, there were 5 of the missiles that were launched. They were probably launched at military targets, and in the process of the Russians' anti-missile systems intercepting these missiles, one of them was wasn't completely destroyed and fragments and or the missile was sidetracked towards the beach. I'm thinking it didn't get to the beach hole. I think these are fragments that must have hit the beach. If the missile itself had reached the beach and detonated, being a cluster munition, I think the losses could have been far worse. But the point is what is the reaction going to be of the Russians? And I think the reaction is going to be pretty strong, especially when you have these ass nuggets that lead NATO, especially here you have NATO Secretary Stoltenberg standing next to Macron, the just ridiculous human being that he is, saying this.
For Ukraine, and I also proposed a long-term financial pledge for Ukraine. Our support is not about making NATO a party to the conflict.
Yeah, what? That is some twisted logic shit. These people could say that shit with a straight face and say that we can give the Ukraine all of this money, the absolute sieve that it is, the corrupt sieve that it is. We can give them money, we can give them weapons, we can give them all the arms, we can give them the technicians, we can give them the ability to strike your homeland. But hey, we're not a party to the conflict, man. I had nothing to do with giving that dude that gun, even though I gave that dude that gun. And he went into your house and he shot your wife. So this is what we're dealing with. I mean, these are the idiots. These are the idiots. In France, you're at fault for electing that Macron dude. Just as the United States is at fault for allowing the coup d'etat that took place in this country that put Joe Biden in office. But these NATO secretary generals, these unelected bureaucrats, man, these people are going to be the cause of World War III. So the best thing you could do, man, the best thing that you could do, stay strapped, have some potassium iodide on hand. Don't be near big cities. I'm unfortunately deep behind enemy lines, trying to do everything that I can do to get out. You need to do the same. And just be prepared, be ready, because I know I sound like a fearmonger, but the reason why I'm doing these videos now is because I have to be able to talk about this, because if I keep it wrapped up inside, I'm going to blow up, because I understand. In the amount of time that I've been on this earth at this point, I've never seen the situation so at the seams, just so ready to pop, and they're really pissing the Russian people off. And we should have learned a lesson that the Germans, we should be learning from a lesson of history that was learned in a stark manner by the Germans back in 1943, a little thing called Stalingrad. The Russian people are not a people to be trifled with. You know, and as diverse of a nation as it is, aside from the occasional Islamic jihadism that can be taken advantage of, it is a very unified country, far more unified than the West is today. So with that, again, this is Christopher Bruno. I appreciate you stopping in to check this out. If you get a chance, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. I'm trying to get better at this. I'm going to start doing live streams every day at 4 p.m. Central, where, you know, I could talk about some of the news of the day, go over the markets and the metals and the clown world, and just kind of run off at the mouth a little bit more. And maybe get a chance to interact with some of you people out there in the YouTube world. So I appreciate you stopping in. Have a great rest of your day.